Welcome to Meet the Candidates on WCMU. I'm David Nicholas. Our guest is Tom Kunse. He is the Republican candidate for Michigan's redrawn 100th district. This includes the counties of Clare, Mecosta, and Osceola. This is also an open seat for this upcoming election. Tom, very good to have you with us. Thanks for
Thank-
joining us today.
I appreciate the invite. Thanks for having me.
And in our first minute or so, a little bit about you, your background, and the experience you bring to the campaign.
Sure. Yep. So I'm a Clare kid. Moved here 50 years ago. My wife Janet and I have been married for 24 years. We have two kids, empty nesters. They both moved on. I am a Chippewa. I did graduate from Central, as did my wife. So we've run a small trucking company. We'd started in 1994 and have been really blessed with that. That's grown to over 50 employees. So that's northern dry bulk, very specialized transportation, end of the supply chain stuff. So.
And being familiar then, certainly with the Clare County area and then the surrounding areas you've gotten to know better by campaigning up to the primary and since, what are the voters telling you in terms of what they identify as the top one or two issues in this campaign?
Right now, inflation, the economy, inflation. I wish I could tell the future. It's interesting. Yesterday, with the prime rate going up, I think that's going to hurt home sales. But people are the problem at the pump, or the pain at the pump would be a better way. Um, that the inflation has been far away. Number one. There's a little discussion about, well, what are we going to do about the southern border? And I think my joke is that my southern border is Isabella County. So um, that's really a federal issue. But yeah.
When it comes then to those inflationary concerns,
Mhm.
recognizing that that also has its roots in Washington, what would you identify then as maybe some of your strategies, your ideas as to what action can be taken and what
Mhm.
action would you want to try to take at the state level?
Right, and you are exactly right. When they're printing money at the federal level, it's hard to battle that at the state level. I think what we need to do is take care of our fiscal policy. I was really happy to see in the budget that comes out October 1st, or the budget's out when the fiscal year starts October 1st. We did a lot of good things with road improvements, long-term improvements. We did the teachers' pension. There was $1 billion put into the teachers' pension fund, which is underfunded. And I think now is the time to get those long-term issues taken care of because the money is going to tighten up. This is not reality.
As it is an open seat that you're running for, obviously there hasn't been the direct contact with the surplus from the COVID funds. But,
Right.
and when you refer to the money will dry up, are you satisfied with how that money has been allocated thus far? And do you have opinions on what else should be addressed with in terms of an investment of that budget surplus moving forward?
Sure. And this comes back to we see things through our own lenses. So I look at things through a small business perspective. Long-term debt it's a burden. If we can get out of that debt, it's always a good thing. So that's why I like the unfunded, the pensions being taken care of. One of the things that concerned me with the COVID money is that it didn't always go to the people that were affected. I think the PPE, again, that was a federal, that helped. But some of these businesses, there was the bowling alley restaurant here in Clare was closed down for 200 days and didn't get a break on their property taxes. They didn't get a break on their liquor license. And to me, if the state shuts your business down, they shouldn't expect you to pay those days for your liquor license. So I would have liked to have seen some direct work there.
Any other instabilities you see and attention to particular needs about the overall economic climate in not only Clare County but the surrounding Mecosta and Osceola that
Sure.
need attention when it comes to what we're seeing in a post-pandemic reality?
The reason I'm running, if you said, Tom, you get to go to Lansing, you can only do one thing. The reason I'm running is for skilled trades. The 100th district, Clare, Osceola, Mecosta, and that sliver of lake is the poorest, the most economically depressed district in the state of Michigan. All four counties are in the bottom 10. Of course, you put them together. So I'm running on skilled trades. I've worked with the CTE, the Magna Center here at Mid-Michigan College. I'm excited about the Osceola ISD, but that's what when I tutor kids at the high school, that's what I tell them. Here's what we need to do, and some of these jobs that are outsourceable. are not skilled trades. They're not going to outsource plumbing. They're not going to send these jobs out. So I think post COVID, it has focused people on, wow, it's hard to get some of these positions filled, and these are good paying jobs.
Given the impact that the pandemic had on the education system, along with obviously the economy as a whole, are the schools and other supporting training programs in a good position moving forward if we do see the influx of bringing more into that workforce where we have seen so many shortages?
Uh, are they in a good position? Yes, I think they are. Again, the Claire Gladwin ISD, the Osceola Macasta ISD, I think they are. They're doing a lot of good things with their programs. Again, I'd love to be able to tell the future. I'd love to say, well, here's the job we need in 5 years. Let's train our kids for it. I think the base is there. We don't have to go to college. That's not a requisite trans. That's not the path to the middle class. There are other ways. So I'm not sure I fully understood that question. I hope I answered it.
Just looking at how for programs that had limited funding, for just the impact that it had on school budgets and so forth, are we properly set with the programs, with the instructors, with the facilities to take on what we would hope for? And this goes to so many of the candidates we're speaking with. What we hope will be a greater influx of students going into career training that's going to result in jobs that can stay here.
Correct. Yeah, I would say no. If tomorrow, if everybody listened to me and said, you know what, I should be an electrician, then no, we don't have enough capacity for it. And unfortunately, there are some trainings that are full. Now, I'm excited to see the Magnus Center did receive some state funding, and they're doing an expansion on that. So they're trying to expand their capacity. But no, I don't think skilled trades currently gets the funding that it needs, and we're not where we need to be.
Overall, in the economic climate for the three counties, are we looking at a changed economy in any way because of the pandemic, or a need to diversify? And how would you approach making sure that it's a good climate for people to invest, start up a business, keep a business there?
Sure. Yeah, it's a great question. And I think people see the quality of life. So we live in a beautiful part of the state, and if we're working remotely, geez, we can move to this area, we can move to central Michigan and work remotely and have a better quality of life. It comes down to broadband. I can't live in northern Lake County if I have dial-up or a modem internet. So we have been working. I'm on the Grant Township Board, which is just north of the city of Clare, and we're working on broadband expansion. I'm really excited to see the state has taken up this mantra, and they're working on broadband expansion. So I do think the pandemic has changed. People are working remotely now more than ever. And here we are having a meeting over the internet. That's the future. That's not going to go away. Even if tomorrow COVID was magically gone, it never happened, people are still going to want to work remote. And I think that's a good thing. We should encourage that.
And leading into this election, I can say that over the past couple of years, I've spoken with many sitting lawmakers or those who have been term limits and are no longer going to be in office. And this has been a top topic and a top goal. What would be now a reasonable timeline if we are seeing the investment? And do you have thoughts on how we can accelerate that timeline to catch up with the reality we now have?
That is a good question. Sometimes there's the carrot and the stick. And when we have a government regulated monopoly, and up here in where we're at, it's charter. We can give them the carrot. Hey, we're going to help with funding. We want to help you do this. And sometimes I think it's the no. If you want to be the only provider, then you need to do this. As far as a timeline, 5 years is an eternity when we come to broadband expansion. I'd like to see it done in this term, which is 2 years. Now, when I say that, I'm not saying that every house is going to have broadband capability. What I'm saying is I think we should be able to make great inroads on it.
Are there other economic issues or another one, and we have a couple of minutes left, that people have identified to you as you've spoken with them that they see as key, anything perhaps besides the economics?
We want to continue talking about economics. I want to
No,
make sure I understood
if
that.
there's another thing
Oh,
you would mention briefly that is another issue that they have voiced concern on.
right. We live in God's country, and deer season starts in 2 weeks, and a lot of people are upset about the deer reporting. And I understand the deer management. I'm glad to see it's no longer a criminal offense. The legislation took that up when they were in session Wednesday. So the new deer reporting requirements have been an ongoing. Of course, Proposition 3, the abortion amendment to the Constitution. That is a topic.
When it comes to the outdoors concerns, so many areas, including the one you hope to represent, rely on the tourism, rely on
Mhm.
those activities throughout the year. In addition to things like the deer reporting, are there other issues, concerns that people have that tend to put what they see as undue limits on the ability to do business and have good business
Sure.
while preserving the environment and the resources at the same time?
Yes, yeah, and it's easy to demonize Eagle. That's the environmental, the new DNR. Some of their restrictions, proud to be endorsed by Farm Bureau, and some of the restrictions they put on them, they don't make sense. So you're absolutely right. If it was a common sense rule, then we do it. But here we're taking the stewards of the land, and we're having a bureaucrat in Lansing tell them how to farm their property that they've had for generations. So if there was a common refrain as far as overzealous enforcement, it would be on the farming requirements.
If you were to take the ideas that you have,
Mhm.
addressing the concerns that have been voiced to you and that you've seen, and you put that into one last message to take and leave with the voters as they get set to go to the polls, what would that be?
I think we need small local government. We can make decisions on our own lives better than someone, no matter how well intentioned they are in Lansing. I'm not here to, again, demonize any of the bureaucracies, but if we can keep government out of our life or keep it local, I'm going to represent 48 townships, and I've been to most of them, and that's where the decisions should be made. I'd love to see local control of our school districts. That's where it should be. So small local government, it's more responsive to the people's needs.
Well, we appreciate your time and attention to the issues and your thoughts on those as you seek office. And we wish you nothing
Thank
but
you.
the best of luck the rest of the way with the campaign. Safe travels as well. And thanks for the time.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the day.
We've been talking with Tom Kunse. He is the Republican candidate for Michigan's 100th House District race, an open seat in this election. I'm David Nicholas. We remind you to get out and cast your vote on Tuesday, November 8th. All qualifying candidates were invited to participate in this series. Following the redraw of Michigan House, Michigan Senate, and congressional districts, check with local officials to make sure you are properly registered. Election Day is Tuesday, November 8th.